Welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Monday. My name's Don Blunt. Joining me on the couch this week, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Don, excited to be here. Can you believe Nintendo will direct for once in 2 years?
Good
18
meme.
months even.
It's not the joke I was expecting, but I'll
But Dylan, where is Chun-Li?
Oh, okay, there.
See what I did there? It was a misdirect.
It was a misdirect. By the way, I just realized, I never realized this before, but we're wearing the same t-shirt today. Just see that?
Look at you wearing our own merch. What a coincidence.
ExplosionNetwork.com/shop.
There you go, ExplosionNetwork.com.
I assume.
I think it's Explosion.
Still.
Oh, let's double check this. Because
I tell you what, if it's ExplosionNetwork.com/,
I believe it is.
I'm pretty sure I said it to both.
It is.
Right?
It is ExplosionNetwork.com/shop. So if you'd like to get your hot swag like me and Ash are wearing today. In the video version, we're showing our shirts, obviously for audio listeners. But you can get that. Kieran's not working on it, so he's
No, I'm not.
Also here, Ciaran Marchand, by the way.
It is like, Dylan, do you know when are they releasing the 35th anniversary edition of Ashley Hobley? Like, have we missed that yet, or is it like coming soon?
So the best thing about that is when Ash actually turns 35, which I presume is soon. I'm not going to wish him happy birthday because he's
good. It's not a thing.
He's dug that hole himself.
35th birthdays are a lie.
35th anniversaries are not a thing, apparently. Stop trying to do them, Nintendo.
It's like Valentine's Day and all these other corporate holidays that they make up so you can spend more money on shit.
Your 35th birthday is a corporate holiday, right?
Yeah. Corporate conspiracy. So we buy more. You don't see 35th birthday cards in stores. I should know.
Today on the show, Nintendo Direct, the first big one of 2021. We'll get into that in a second. Marvel's Avengers finally got some details. Next-gen versions coming, all these sorts of things. So let's talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about the Mortal Kombat trailer because it's out. We're going to get over there and talk about it later in the show. So that's exciting. And BlizzCon is the day after recording. So we'll see.
Yeah, don't think anything's going to happen.
Are they going to announce Overwatch 2? No. Are they going to announce Diablo 4? No. We already know these things. We'll see.
Hearthstone 2?
I'll eat my words later. We'll see. Wait until something massive happens and there's a segment inserted at the end of this episode because I was like,
wow,
emergency.
We really need to talk about this.
Emergency recording. But it's all done. All right, so let's get into it.
I can't believe they killed everyone in Overwatch.
Well, anything's possible. So
can't believe they merged Battleborn into Overwatch. It's crazy. Worlds collide.
Kieran's over there.
It's a crossover we all want.
Kieran's not having a very good time. It's just not.
I'm not. It's okay. My papa has come to wish me well. He said, "Do you need some moral support?" I said, "Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I do."
Yeah. That's what dogs are for,
YouTube.com/Explosion Network to see dogs and shirts.
Exactly.
That's
See
right.
dogs and shirts. What a start to the episode.
As long as it doesn't press the fucking pause button, pause your recording. So,
No, it's only one time, and it was the other dog. Okay, jeez.
Okay, good meme though. Nintendo held their first proper big direct for the first time since September 2019. So it's been quite a long time since we had one. Everyone was super pumped for this one. They announced it like they said the day before or whatever it was, the day or 48 hours before. Nintendo Direct, 50 plus minutes, Smash Brothers plus a bunch of other things, primarily focused on games that are coming out in 2020. I personally, and we're going to run down everything that's shown here and focus on the big things, of course, as we do for these sorts of things, but my thoughts on this, so I wake up, I watched the whole thing early. I was like, this was a pretty good, okay-ish, like a 7 out of 10 direct. I wasn't really disappointed, but I also didn't get my hopes. People on Twitter are like, Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker HD Collection Remake, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Everyone's like, they haven't done one in over a year. They're going to announce everything in one go. And I'm like, no, probably not though. So I wasn't really let down. I thought it was a decent showing. My one criticism, if I was going to give it, and it becomes quite obvious when you run down what was shown, it was like, if you hate RPG/JRPGs, this was a terrible direct for you to watch because I'm pretty sure 90% of the games in the direct were JRPGs or some variant of an RPG. So if that's not your cup of tea, probably wasn't
Even
the
if you
greatest thing for you.
even if you enjoy fighting games, it was still based on a JRPG. So with the
Even
Smash
if you
Bros.
like golf,
characters,
it had RPGs.
Yep, exactly. Ash, you was watching this because I saw you tweeting memes along to it. So yeah, what'd you think of it?
It was fine. I think there was probably something for everyone in this, unless you hate JRPGs. Then there was no love for you at all. But yeah, obviously a couple of bigger games, like obviously Mario Golf coming to the Switch. You got the new Square Enix game with the funny name, working title.
Project Bermuda Triangle.
And then obviously the Wind Waker news made a lot of people happy.
Skyward Sword.
A bunch of people.
I was going to say Skyward Sword, right? Because
yeah,
I feel like
a lot of people were upset there wasn't Twilight Princess, but
more people would be happy if it was Twilight Princess or Wind Waker. The Skyward Sword is probably the least of the.
It was a Zelda.
We all know these people just want anything Zelda, to be perfectly honest.
Oh.
And I was very happy they didn't say 35th anniversary of Zelda.
Oh my god, it all comes. Okay. Just come.
I mean, it's because it's not a thing. It was an excuse to sell you a bunch of Mario shit.
Ciaran, I assume you didn't watch it in full, but did you? What did you think?
I did not watch it live. I flicked through. It was a range. Like it was a very kind of decently put together overall kind of show. Had some interesting bits and pieces. It made me laugh about when Fall Guys was announced because it was kind of like, of course, but at the same time, it's Fall Guys and nobody cares anymore. But
wow,
what?
That is not true at all.
Not true at all. It's going to get another surge of player base because not only is it coming to Nintendo Switch, it's coming to Xbox.
Yeah, they announced it like the day after or whatever. So, I think that game will do quite well. Oh fuck! I'll get to it. Let's just go. Let's go
one by one.
Let's go one by one and skip a lot of it because I don't think any of us care about a lot of it. But of course, yeah. So the first thing that they announced was the Smashy Smash Brothers reveal. So they announced that Pyra and Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will be joining the fight. Apparently, this is a character. So I haven't played this game, right? Apparently, this is a character that's actually like a living weapon or something. I don't really know what's going on, but it is another anime character.
The thing
Go
is,
listen to the House of Mario so Bryce can explain.
The biggest, I will say, the minor thing that is being said about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the fact that this might be like the 15th character that uses a sword in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of variety in kind of characters is kind of lessening a little bit when you compare it to a lot of the earlier ones, which had.
Wow, nobody complains about all the characters with swords in Soul Calibur, but in Super Smash Bros., they're all too many.
Well, bring in some characters with some swords. You just released a Pokemon game where they use both, so maybe use a bit of both. I will say, so obviously this is something
Need more shields. Need some more shields in this game.
Exactly, yes.
Shield heroes.
I will say that, none of us play Smash, so it's hard for us to really comment on this. But also, I haven't played any of the Xeno played, so obviously I'm getting excited for this. But without having all of that, I still thought it was a kind of cool reveal trailer, because I did like the part early in the trailer where the character's like, because I got an invitation to join. Oh no, I thought I always enjoy.
Thought they were just announcing a new Xenoblade.
Yeah, or DLC or something. I always enjoy. They're very good, these Smash trailers, even if you don't know the character or care for them. They're very good at doing these invitation type things. Like even think back to the Persona one, like how cool that was, where the envelope comes down on the screen, opens up, and it's a Smash invitation, all this sort of stuff. So I always enjoy them. They're good at putting together the trailers and this sort of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely like, hey, if you want to hear people's actual opinions, you care about the stuff. Yeah, as Ash said, just go listen to House of Mario, and they'll do a much better job at explaining what this is and if it matters, I'm sure. All right, next thing was so Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout hits the Switch and also, as Ash said, Xbox in the middle. It'll be like around June-ish or something. Probably they said like summer. It's out winter or whatever. So that's cool. I think this will do really well on Switch. I think people will be quite happy to get into bed and play a few rounds of this or this sort of thing. Like this feels like a perfect game that. A lot of people play Fortnite on the Switch, and I feel like a lot of people who play Fortnite would be happy to switch over and play a little bit of this every now and then, this sort of thing. Like, it's not competition to Fortnite. It's like attracts the same sort of crowd, I guess, to a degree, but
Yeah.
but not. It's more casual, so so that's cool. Outer Wilds is coming to Switch. I know I briefly talked about this when it came out, like 2 years ago or whatever. Again, really cool game, just too hard for me. I could not. I really struggled with how to solve the puzzles in this one. As much as I really
loops, right?
Yeah, it is literally Groundhog Day, but a space thing. So at the start of the game, they're like, you get a spaceship. They're like, hey, you got to go up there and save this person or whatever. And you literally fly through space. Like there's no load screens or whatever. And you can fly straight up. And I think there's like, 4 planets or something like that. You can go to any of them. Pick which one you want to go to. But then it is that whole thing of like the first planet I picked and I went to, it exploded and killed me. So then you restart, you like come back in the game. Your character's like, what the fuck? I just died. But you didn't die. But you start all over again. And you got to go to planets, learn things so that you can save the universe and the planets from exploding and these sorts of things. It is very, very, very cool. It's just I would need a full walkthrough to be able to enjoy it, at which the time when it released, there was not a walkthrough. So I really could not get my head around it. And that's not shitting on the game. It's simply just me admitting that I was too dumb to
shitting
handle
on
it.
yourself.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. But very cool game. Yeah. The next thing, I thought this was really cool. So they announced Famicom Detective Club, 2 Detective Club games, which, so I was watching these trailers and I was like, these look pretty cool, like visual novel type detective things, think Phoenix Wright or something along that line. So straight away I'm like, these look cool. And I didn't realize they were old because they're remastered. So the art looks pretty good, for a Switch game or whatever. Like the art looks pretty good and everything else. I was like, this is cool. Google it afterwards and find out that the games were actually released in the 80s for the Family Computer Disk System, Nintendo's first console that only ever released in Japan. That's where these 2 games came from. So, and they actually announced this remake a couple of years ago. It was originally supposed to release last year, but of course COVID, so it got pushed into this year, 2021. But I gotta say, I'm down for both of these. Like, I can completely get into these sorts of games, and I thought this trailer was pretty cool. And if I'm starting, I think, I don't have it in front of me. I did write down a list of 5 games at some point that I was excited for from the direct, and this was definitely one of 2 games technically, but I'm counting it as one. So
I really think I really am impressed with the art style of this whole kind of the game itself. Like, I think it's animated really well, and they're kind of not just the classic stills in every shot. Like, there is full kind of animated cutscenes that look really cool. So I'm definitely probably going to pick these up.
Yeah, that's actually a good point that, most of these sorts of games, they don't have this much like mouth movement or like animation when you're talking to characters in these visual novel games and this sort of thing. And they definitely wouldn't have had that when they released in the 80s. So, there's obviously been a fair amount of work put into them. So do you care for these, Ash, or was it just too early?
They look pretty. I don't know if I'll pick them up, but yeah, they look nice.
So next one was Samurai Warriors 3. It's a Muso game. I don't think any of us care about that. I'm sorry. Legend of Mana remake coming to Switch. Looks pretty. It's another JRPG remake. They've added like more modern day sensibilities where you can do things like turn off encounters. They've added like a Tamagotchi minigame. Well, that's what it fucking looked like to me. So anyway, that's coming out June 24th if you'd like to play that. They had a trailer for Monster Hunter Rise. It didn't announce anything new or anything. It was just another cool sort of trailer. I'm still down for this. I don't know if I'll play it because this is one of those games where it's like time, place, what else is coming. Like I would pick something else I know over this because like it's something else I'm more excited for. But if it comes out at the right time, place, or maybe down the line. But I really like to look at this one because, as I've said before, I kind of feel like it's more accessible because it's not World, where World always just looks like I have to read a fucking manual to understand what I'm doing. Plus, I really like the Attack on Titan fucking
Sorry, I don't think you get to.
I don't get to make the reference. Okay, can you say it then?
No.
So
yeah. No, it does look like the ODM gear from Attack on Titan is used to it, which it's used to swing through places.
Yeah, so that looks kind of cool. I think.
I think it looks. I've always wanted to play a single player Monster Hunter. I played a little bit of World, but World to jump into is a bit overwhelming in many ways. So I've always wanted to play one of these more single player focused Monster Hunter games that have been on the DS largely for much of its lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. Does stuff for you, Ash?
No.
No? You don't care about monsters? You don't care about Attack on Titan?
I'm currently off Monster Hunter.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
So watch the movie.
The movie ruined it for you?
Okay. Yep.
That's not fair. You went backwards. You're supposed to try out the games first and then hate the movie or something. I think that's how it works.
Capcom.
Ruined it for you.
Keep trashing Paul W.S. Anderson.
So next thing they announced was obviously one of the highlights, I think, of the show, which was Mario Golf is back as Mario Golf Super Rush. Very cool trailer. I think
funny because rush is not a word you associate with golf very much.
Well, in this game you got to go fast. So I am all about this. See, the thing is, a lot of people obviously enjoy Nintendo Mario sports games for the most part have a good track record. The thing that always annoyed me was I got super hyped for tennis, right? And I was going to buy it, and then I remember reviews dropped day one, and it's not like low scores turn me off, but I remember the reviews drop and people were like, man, if you want to play this mainly by yourself, it's only got these challenges, and the challenges are just kind of quite hard and tedious, and they're not fun. I'm like, man, like I'm down for the multiplayer as well, but I need something to play by myself, to buy me over. So this single player, cool. Story mission stuff of some sort, cool. Multiplayer mode, online confirmed, yes, cool. Stream it, twitch.tv/Explosion Network. I feel like it's ticking all my boxes, so I'm definitely down for this. And the funny thing is, I'll put this out there. I used to play a lot of golf games on PS1 back in the day. I always enjoyed playing golf games. I find golf games fun. Don't like golf in real life at all. It's fucking boring as all shit. However, golf video games, all about that. I can get all about that. So yeah, Ash, how you feeling about Mario Golf?
Yeah, pretty keen. It looks good. I mean, it's a golf game, so there's not much you can do. I do like the addition of this speed golf mode in which you are
racing.
Just try and get getting the ball into the hole as fast as possible.
By any means necessary.
You take your shot as quickly as possible. Who cares? No waiting around. And I mean, if real golf was like that, I think we'd all be much more interested.
Look, I'm all about the fact that Mario has the ability to blow on people's balls.
That was a big feature that they tweeted about. So
they did. Yeah,
that's a good name.
But also, I'm also a sucker for a story mode in a sports game. So be able to.
Do you reckon it's going to be? You reckon it's going to be as captivating as the EA kind of My Career modes that have been, or whatever that story mode is?
No, it'll probably be less interesting. I remember loving the one. I can't remember. There was definitely one on one of the Game Boys.
Yeah,
that was really good. So I was kind of hoping they'd do like a top-down 2D version, like a mode inside the game. It's like
maybe
a throwback, but yeah,
maybe.
There's still time.
Still time. I think it looks really good too. Is something I'd say. Like it looks really crisp. All the models look great. It looks like it's running at like 60 frames or something. Hopefully,
that's the thing though. That these games always do look good. Like as in terms of when you compare it to a lot of other things on the Nintendo Switch console, it's like Nintendo's own games.
Nintendo own games usually look and run very good. So, Ciaran, do you care about golf?
Not really. I think it looks good. I think the speed golf is interesting, but it's really not something I'd pick up.
Not even for the stream. What if we were streaming it?
Don't you worry.
Yeah, I was about to say
FOMO will hit hard.
So I was going to say that FOMO will hit hard.
I was going to say you got to say
that FOMO will hit him hard like a golf club.
Yeah, so
to the head.
You got to say no, and then we're going to stream it one night, and you're going to be watching, and we're going to have fun, and you're going to be like, "Fuck, I want in on this."
No, you'll be watching. I'll be watching, and then 5 minutes into the stream, you'll get a message that'll be like, "Hey, can you guys send me an invite?"
Also, shout out to Haley Gross for her tweet about Mario Golf.
What's she tweet?
She tweeted Last of Us Part 2? ?
Oh my god! Wow, that's something. Yeah, okay. No spoilers, I guess. Is the thing, but good memes. All right, so moving on, we had Tales from the Borderlands announced it's come to Switch, so that's cool. If you've never played Tales from Borderlands, it's a great game. You can now play that on the Switch, so that's exciting. Comes out on March 24th. Oh, by the way, Mario's date is June 25th. I forgot to say, so it's not that far away. Yeah, March 24th for Tales from Borderlands, so that's cool. Capcom Arcade Stadium got a trailer. If you want to play Street Fighter 2 and a bunch of other arcade classics, that's coming to the Switch. It's out now. Then they got the next thing, I had no idea what this is, but I've discovered there is a cult following for this. So I thought that was quite interesting. They showed this trailer for Stubbs the Zombie Rebel Without a Cause. Now, I never heard of this. I'm watching this trailer and I'm actually going, I would play this because this looks like a PS2 like Destroy All Humans type game to me. And I was watching this going, I thought it was a new game, and I'm watching it going, I hope this comes to PlayStation because this was probably an easy platinum and a fun, easy platinum. So I'm like, yeah, cool, I'm all about this. Anyway, Google it afterwards. They're like, and find out that originally released for Xbox, and that's where it's got this cult following from. It was original Xbox title that apparently a lot of people love in 2005. And then it removed from the face of the earth in 2012 because it was on the Xbox marketplace all the way through to the 360. And in 2012, it just disappeared for like legal reasons or something along those lines. You know, these sorts of things that they never really properly explained. Anyway, it's now coming back. So it's coming to Switch. It is coming to PS5, 4, whatever, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, all that sort of stuff. So it's coming to everything, not just Switch. So that's exciting. And I would like to play it. I still don't really know what it is. Other than it's a weird zombie character who's like smoking a cigarette and fighting. I really don't know, but I'm all about it. I'm gonna play this. Did anyone else? Was everyone else just like, nah, fuck this shit? Or what?
It reminded me of the Octodad, like kind of, I don't know, there's something about the humor or the art style that reminded me of that sort of game. It's not really for me, but it looks interesting. Like I'd probably watch somebody play through it or have it on as like a background
thing. Yeah, it's just, and yeah, after I saw, actually, I can't remember who exactly it was, but I saw at least a few people on my Twitter when that trailer came on. A bunch of people were like, "Oh my god, Stubbs!" Like obviously people who loved it from back in the day. So I was like, "Man, the game has a following from back on the Xbox OG Xbox Stubbs fans, I guess." So then they had a trailer for No More Heroes 3. It was very bizarre, like all the trailers are, but you know, just to confirm again that the game is actually coming out in August, on August 17th. It looks absolutely batshit crazy. Everything everyone wants from it. And that's,
I wonder if it'll need to be censored again for Australia. That'd be interesting. We didn't have an R18 at the time.
Yeah, when the originals came out, we didn't have. So
when the second one came out, where they had to replace all the blood with like black, like just black colored liquid.
I feel like for anyone who never played, because I never tried the first one out and I never actually finished it, but I remember playing it and then jerking off the fucking controller and all that, you know, saving on the toilet and all this sort of weird shit. But I feel like anyone watching this who has no idea what this game is, it's just like, what is this? Because it shows like 15 different genres and parodies and absolute nonsense throughout. I'm like, what a absolute crazy trailer. Kind of fun though. Next thing was Neon White. So this looks very cool, although it was something where I'm putting on the fence of being between really cool and I just need a little bit more information to decipher exactly what's going on here, because it looks like a parkour first-person action game in which your combat is controlled by like a deck. So like it's a card game with a third-person action, and it looked quite fluent and running quite well on Switch. Now, obviously, I'm going to hope that this comes to other things because, you know, come to other things where it probably run and look a little bit prettier. But the concept is you're like a hitman who's sent to heaven to assassinate beasts of some sort or something like that. I don't really know. So it was a cool trailer though, and I definitely would like to know more. It's been published by Annapurna Interactive, so you know they published some cool things over the last couple of years and unique titles. So anyone else like, yeah, I'd like to know more about this, or
yeah, it just looks like, I don't know, it looks like a stocking stuffer a little bit for Nintendo Direct to me personally, I guess.
Damn, hot takes. Ash?
Yeah.
No?
Yep.
No? Don't care for it? Don't care?
No.
Why is everybody trying to force card mechanics into games? Like, am I right?
No, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot now.
Am I right?
It's the hot stuff. Next show was DC Superhero Girls Team Power. Obviously, this is a young kids game. I would play it if I had spare time though, because it looks like it would be a fun little time to run around. It feels like playing a fucking Lego game or something, but that's basically what that is, obviously. Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville Complete Edition is coming to Switch, and everything else as well. I looked, after the fact, it was like, oh, it's coming to PlayStation, Xbox as well. So that's cool. I always wanted to play that, never got around to playing it. Always looked fun. I remember when they announced it, I was like, I want to play that. Looks like it could be fun PvP, and never actually got around to it, so don't know. Miitopia's coming back because fucking reasons. This was honestly the weirdest left field nonsense announcement out of the whole show. If I had to pick one thing that I'm like, but why? It would definitely be this, because for people who don't know, this was a 3DS thing, and the 3DS was obsessed with your Mii's. It had all these Mii games and stuff. And I actually played a bunch of, like, they used to have all the Street Pass games. I used to play all those because I used to take my 3DS into, shout out to my local Guff Good Game Store or whatever. Like, I used to take my 3DS no matter where I went, even if I didn't play it, because I'd always want to get the street passes with people who had their 3DSs in that store and this sort of stuff. I used to play a bunch of the games. So there was a whole bunch of Mii stuff that was kind of cool there. This wasn't one of them, as far as I'm concerned. So, and I think the other thing that's quite confusing is it seemed like Nintendo, to a degree, moved away from Mii's being an important aspect of Nintendo, and now with this, it's like, so Mii's are back, but why? Like, they're not a thing on the Switch. Like, Mii's aren't a thing.
It's a very Nintendo thing. It's very similar to the Amiibos, where it's like Amiibos are a thing, but they aren't a thing anymore. It's like, but you can still use them for a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like there's a core audience, obviously, who've probably just kept collecting Amiibos, but like the major hype for them died down from the original release. But I kind of do forget they exist to a degree. And then I'm like playing Mario, and they're like, "Hey, if you've got to snack down your Amiibo to get some rewards and stuff," I'm like, "Oh yeah."
It's only like it's only like freaking. It's almost like a pay to win feature, but like. I remember Breath of the Wild has a bunch of, like, depending on which Amiibos you have, you can get like a bunch of like drops you get to use once a day if you just keep, like, you know, like a better horse or better equipment and stuff like that. It's just very, very strange.
It is, but I think one of them in Mario lets you auto trigger Bowser to come out, which is helpful for certain puzzles because you actually need him to come out, I guess. But at the same time, I'm like, I wouldn't buy it just for that. Like, it's just, I'd wait for a minute or whatever it takes. But next thing was Animal Crossing New Horizons, free updates coming soon, adds a bunch of Mario gear on Animal Crossing characters. Looks quite fucking freaky and weird, but it also looks kind of cool. I'm excited to see what people who have heaps of time can do with this stuff, because I'm sure they'll create some cool looking Mario themed islands.
Need more villages or whatever with mustaches.
With mustaches, yeah, it looks fucking creepy. Yeah. Like, it's just, they don't fit that way. It just doesn't fit properly. And so the next thing was another highlight for me personally, I'll say, was Project Triangle Strategy, which of course is a fucking stupid name, but this is the follow-up basically to Octopath Traveler. It's not really a sequel or anything like that, but it's, you know, got a stupid name.
It's a spin-off.
Yeah, it's like, what do you call it? Spiritual successor. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of.
I guess, except this one's obviously a bit more strategy RPG based.
Well, yeah, so this one is a strategy RPG. Think Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics, not an actual RPG, which excited me more. If this had just been another Octopath Traveler, like a typical RPG, I would have been like, cool story, bro. Maybe not.
But wait a minute. That means that if this is a tactics version of Octopath Traveler, isn't this just going to evolve into like Kingdom Hearts or some shit eventually, just randomly? Because that's what they do with tactics games.
I mean,
no, none of the Final Fantasy Tactics characters are in Kingdom Hearts.
So. Yeah, I don't think so.
No, they're not. But then wasn't one of the tactics games got evolved into Kingdom Hearts, or got evolved into? Oh no, it got changed into another Final Fantasy, didn't it? Like maybe 30. I can't remember the story behind it. Just carry on with your lies. Fuck it.
You got there. No, this does look very cool. It has, like, it shows off a bunch of cool power. You know, they give an example where they're like, you know, a character can chuck down water and then you can freeze the water. These sorts of things. There's like back strikes you can do the characters, and like lots of cool combos. Obviously, I've talked a lot about how much I love Final Fantasy Tactics. Obviously, you know, that's a well-loved title by a lot of people. I'm always looking for that next Final Fantasy Tactics. There's a lot of games that get close, never quite scratch the itch. But this could get there. We shall see. It looks very, very cool nonetheless. Again, that really visually striking, great art style, so that stands out. Title, announcing another game with a stupid project triangle strategy name I hate. Nonetheless, there's a demo out. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I was going to play it, and then someone online was like, hey, it took me 5 hours to beat. And I'm like, Cool story, bro. That's not what I wanted to hear, or else I may have played it this morning before recording the podcast, but I haven't had the time to try a demo, but I have downloaded it. Ash, do you care for Project Triangle Strategy?
Yeah, it looks interesting, and could be a good time. It's definitely, obviously, reminds me of Final Fantasy Tactics and that kind of thing. So yeah, it definitely is up my alley and something jump into, play while editing podcasts or something.
Your favorite pastime.
Yeah. If only it wasn't trapped on the Switch. That's the only thing.
Oh dear. The next game was a Star Wars game. So they announced Star Wars Hunters is coming. They showed absolutely nothing. It was a trailer. It shows a bunch of characters, presumably the types of characters you get to play within the game. It's in fucking Jabba's Cantina from Episode 6. Doors open here in the trailer. You can see a bunch of Jedi or some shit fighting outside. They said it's set between Episode 6 and 7. It's a free-to-play game. Action game of some sorts. I'll get excited for it when we know exactly.
Find out more.
It's going to be a bad hero shooter. That's what I think.
Everything's possible. Talking about bad hero
Very
shooters.
possible.
So next game was Knockout City. So this is like dodgeball Overwatch. And I didn't think it looked particularly good. And I thought, like a lot of people on Twitter pointed out, that a lot of the characters seem like they're riding on the thin line between being inspired by another franchise's game and just straight up trying to be said franchise's game. And I don't know if that's exactly the point. Anyway, this is from EA as well, which I also find funny because they just seem to be shitting out between this and like Rocket Jump and whatever the hell else. These free to play or not free to play like hybrid Overwatchy like arena shooter things or battle royale things. Like they're just trying to chase it a bit. So, and that's what this is. I didn't think it looked pretty good. I thought the trailer went for way too long as well. It just seemed to go for fucking forever. But yeah, it is dodgeball. You're throwing balls at people. You can throw your teammates as balls. It's dodgeball on a big scale. Did anyone like this? Does anyone care for this? I'll take that as a no. Next thing.
I think no. Well, the interesting thing I was thinking is obviously this is on the Switch only. It seems like I haven't seen any reports that it's anywhere else.
It's only Switch so far.
Oh, this sounds it's like a weird one. What was that other free to play game that was on the Switch that like had ninjas or something in it? So I had a quick Google search about Ninjala. Obviously, came out last year. Apparently, it's been downloaded 6 million times. So I was expecting it to not be a successful thing, but apparently.
I remember that Ninjala thing being really popular for whatever reason. I think we made fun of it. So, maybe we're wrong here as well.
Yeah, could be.
Can I say, in this trailer, there's some fucking damn right copyright.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. That, it's like riding on the line between being inspired by and just straight up copyright. So,
like that orc that is playing the fucking game, I'm like, that's out of World of Warcraft right there.
Yep.
That's fucking.
Yep. Exactly. Like some of the other characters, you got Madden character, whatever. Okay, that's an EA game or whatever. I don't know. Sure, we'll see. But yeah, it'll probably be popular. Probably all wrong. The thing is, when you judge a free-to-play game on Switch, I feel like we can't even compare it. Like, you just kind of have to...
I mean, for a start, it needs to be a free-to-play game. Just EA. Heads up. Don't shoot yourself in the foot like you did with Rocket Arena.
You can't even compare them to, like, PS4, Xbox, and PC audiences. Like, it's a whole new ball game, literally, because dodgeball. So, next thing was a trailer for World's End Club. So I'd like to play. This is from the people that did Danganronpa. It actually came out on mobile towards the end of late last year. So this is its first console launches on the Switch. I found the trailer quite hilarious simply because it has a part in it where it says the game is cancelled. And I was like, what a fucking weird... What? It's like such a weird thing to have in a trailer. But no, it looks pretty cool. It's like, the world ends when people doing some anime shit. Fucking monsters to fight. It's got cool art style, like a combination of art style where there's like hand-drawn shit and like 3-dimensional 3D characters and whatever else. So, yeah, I don't know. The reviews for the iOS version were pretty good, so... cool. Next thing was Hades gets a physical edition. It is, at the time when they showed it, I was like, this might come to Australia, but it did show up on the EB Games store. I think it was $55 from my memory, so it's hard to just for people out there. If you're like, oh man, I was waiting to play Hades on Switch, I'm excited. It's like, well, the Switch version digitally is like $35, so it's like $20 more for physical.
You get digital soundtrack.
Yeah, I know. But
yeah, that you can listen to if you don't own a Spotify subscription.
That's Well,
but I don't know. That there's an art book, so I mean, if the art book's pretty,
I tell you what, if it looks
like it's printed on nice glossy paper, so you can have your
if they had done a Hades edition like the Ori one or something, I would have been all over that. You know, like with really cool, like a steel book and like a proper art book and these sorts of things.
When it comes to PS5,
well,
it's only a matter of
we
time.
can only hope. Yeah, but for this, no. But will I rebuy it if they do a cool physical edition for PS5? I will say, yeah. Then I'll probably buy it. Next thing was Ninja Gaiden Master Collection. If you haven't played Ninja Gaiden with Sigma 2 or Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, here you go, have at them. I don't like these games, so I'm not particularly excited. I'd never they were hard and stupid. That's my opinion on Ninja Gaiden. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity gets an expansion pass. Get excited to buy DLC for the Hyrule Warriors game if you're excited. Bravely Default 2, that's coming out soon, so they had a trailer. Well, no.
Oh, yeah.
They had a teaser to announce that there was a trailer releasing after the direct. Just gotta point out
they needed to make sure it was 50 minutes long.
Yeah, they couldn't go over what they tweeted.
They couldn't go over
60
minutes.
60 minutes is not direct, people. Okay, no. 60 minutes not direct. They've got to.
Yeah, they've got to have the 50 minutes. So Ghosts and Goblins Remaster got a trailer. Still just looks like Ghosts and Goblins. Have fun with that. Saga Frontier Remaster's coming. It's another fucking JRPGs here. Apex Legends is finally coming to the Switch on March 9th. I think it looks pretty good running on Switch. Like, obviously visually it's a huge downgrade, but I think like frame rate wise and all these sorts of things, it looks like they've got it running quite well. I'm excited to jump in and give it a go, just from a intrigued to see how well it would run on the Switch. I'm quite intrigued to see how that goes. So, but if you're a Switch fan who's never played Apex, you pick it up. It's free to play. Pick it up. You get double XP for the first 2 weeks of the game, and you get 30 levels for the Battle Pass automatically. So go for gold. There is cross play. There is no cross progression. So I can't, unfortunately, just transfer over my current 200 level whatever account. So then we get to Zelda. And firstly, before we talk about actual Skyward Sword, when what's his mate, old mate, comes on screen, whose name I'm not a big enough Nintendo fan to know his name, but when old mate, producer of Zelda, comes on screen and he's like, look, I know a lot of you have been looking forward to news about Breath of the Wild 2. Get fucked. Is what I heard personally. I don't actually know what.
It's a great way it's a great way to lose viewership. To actively lose viewership, just to be like, hey, that thing that you might be watching this direct for,
it's not here.
Not happening.
It was just so blunt.
Not happening.
The way it was said and everything. It was like,
listen,
not here.
He said, you didn't want to waste your time. If you were only there for Breath of the Wild 2, it's not coming. Not anytime soon.
Should have said that at the start of the show. Would have lost. They had a
40th
million people. They had a
anniversary.
million people watching this. This is how many people were pumped for this. Anyway, so what they did reveal, was Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD is coming to the Switch. So I never played this one because I didn't want to do all the wiggly waggly Wii Motion. I didn't want to buy a Wii Motion Plus, even though I had a Wii, and I definitely didn't want to play the the stupid motion controls and this sort of stuff because. And
you didn't want to own a Fisher Price piece of shit.
Well, no, I did. This is a Wii, and I did have a Wii, and I played my Wii more than the Wii U because it was actually better than the Wii U, but I didn't want to buy the fucking Motion Plus. You had to buy the Motion Plus, the accessory, to play this fucking game. So anyway, they've announced that the motion controls from the game will carry on to the Switch, so you'll be able to play with the nunchucks where you press a button to enter combat, you lock into an enemy, and then one Joy-Con. One Joy-Con's your sword is Link, and one's your shield. It'll presumably run a lot better because the Joy-Cons are a lot better than the Wii controllers, obviously, and the nunchuck. So that's cool. Personally, still not the way I want to play the game. However, they did announce, and this isn't just good for me. This is also good from an accessibility point of view because
good for everybody.
Yeah, it's like for people who can't do motion control games, how they play it. And Nintendo for a long time was like, So, but they did announce that when you play the game, if you use a Pro controller, if you're playing it handheld or whatever, left analog stick or whatever, right analog stick become slicey dicey when you're doing controls. So cool. There you go. You can play it handheld now. It was always possible. It was always going to happen, and that's probably the way I'll play the game. Maybe I'll play it standing up, pretending to be Link for like 5-10 minutes and go, nah, fuck this shit, and then go play it. But I would like to play this one because I know it was one of those games that Zelda fans are a bit 50-50 on, even though it's got lots of good reviews if you go to Metacritic or whatever, which is quite funny. But I always was intrigued and wanted to play it because in the Zelda timeline, it's like the first game.
It's the start.
Yeah.
It's the beginning. It's the original 3 pieces of the Triforce and the forging of the Master Sword. And yeah, I think it's a really cool thing for the lore of Zelda in general to have this game.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm not really looking forward to playing it, I guess. I'm looking forward to discovering the story, I guess, and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I'm looking forward to playing a original style Zelda game, and not original, I guess, but like the Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess style Zelda games.
3D Zelda game. You mean?
Yeah, 3D Zelda game, because Breath of the Wild is an amazing experience, but at the same time, for me, it doesn't always feel like a Zelda game.
You don't have the proper structured dungeons and this sort of stuff.
Yes, you don't have the proper structured dungeons. It was just a little bit too on that survival end for me, but I'm still wanting to go back and play Breath of the Wild properly. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to jump into this. I'm then looking forward to more announcements for other ones of the 3D games to be brought back to the Switch, because I think they're all fantastic.
Yeah, so let's tie this into this other story. So Nintendo Life wrote, rumor, Zelda 35th anniversary will see the return of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. If the reveal of Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD wasn't the exact HD release you're hoping for from Nintendo, don't worry, as there are apparently other Zelda games returning to mark the 35th anniversary of the series. According to VGC journalist Andy Robertson, Nintendo fans can be on the lookout for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess a year. In fact, he's so confident he says it's 100% happening. Presumably, these would be HD versions of the Wii U generation, and they'll be released on Nintendo Switch. So he tweeted, Andy Robertson VGC tweeted, for those disappointed with Skyward Sword Remaster, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are 100% coming this year. So that's at least one good 3D Zelda. All burn. The conveyor belt of Mario ports have totally converted my young daughters, blah, 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 blah. Looking forward to Zelda. And then someone else also responded, Tom Phillips chimed in, and also said that backing up these claims. So apparently they've got some hot scoops. That's the thing that's happening. I think given that they've already had, so those other two have had a lot of ports and whatever, they could possibly just package those together and go, here's a Zelda 35th anniversary collection. It's got those two games, maybe a third one we don't know about or something like that. That's the collection they could release. And Skyward Sword, because I guess it involved more work and it hasn't actually been ported anywhere. Like that's why that gets released on its own, you know.
But at the same time, they were like, these other HD remakes, we can put them in a bundle and then have them as timed availabilities on the Nintendo store.
Don't joke, because you know what's going to happen.
Which will be really sad, because there'll be games that I want, and that'll be kind of directly opposing my morals of not purchasing anything with that off the Nintendo store, because that's fun.
It's probably going to happen, so let's be real. But yeah, I'm kind of keen to check out Skyward Sword, I think, and I'm keen to, you know, as we continue throughout the year, and don't say fucking anything, Ash. I'm keen to see what else they announce and do for Zelda's 35th anniversary. Though? So, the year of the Link, and then the final thing they showed during the Direct was they announced that Splatoon 3 is coming with a really cool trailer, I thought. So a lot of people online were saying it looked like Splatoon Mad Max, which was pretty funny. It seems like,
I mean, that's what I was hoping it was going to be some cool kind of spin-off with like single player focused. But no, it's just Splatoon 3.
So I think
Splatoon has a really cool single player game, by the way. Like,
Splatoon 2 they added single player to. So I think for Splatoon 3, how I took this trailer is Splatoon 3 is going to have a proper single player, like a bigger single player from the outset. And of course, it's going to have the multiplayer that everyone loves and the reason they like the trailer. And I think that's what obviously the start of this trailer is supposed to represent. It's like, here's here's possibly how the game straight up starts. Here's your single player. I saw a good article pointing out because a lot of people on the internet were like, "What the fuck is that? The Eiffel Tower upside down in the background?" It's like, yeah, because in Splatoon's universe, it's actually set here. It's just like in the future when like the Earth has died.
Yes.
So like, it's actually a really fucked up like lore behind all this the Splatoon universe and stuff, which is quite fascinating to read about. I never finished it, but I did at some stage buy Splatoon 2. And I was playing through a bunch of that single player stuff, and I wasn't really enjoying playing Splatoon 2. I just, obviously something else came out, I had to review or something. I got distracted, never went back to it. But I'm definitely be more keen for this. I'll definitely be more keen to get into a Splatoon game if I can jump in from the outset. But, this isn't, they announced this for 2022, so there's always a chance I can go back and return to Splatoon 2 and play some more of that and stuff. Because, yeah, Splatoon is a really cool game. I think if you just watch trailers for it, and I definitely was one of those people when it came out on Wii U, the original. I was like, okay, Zelda, Nintendo's trying to do like a Overwatch game with fucking ink guns and stuff. Come on, this looks silly. I was definitely one of those people. And
Yes.
I definitely wrong because mechanically the game is a lot of fun to play. Competitively, it has a lot of tactics and mechanics and stuff. So
the one thing that's always not impressed me, but the coolest mechanic about that game is when you can become a little squid and dive into the ink that you've already painted. Like, that shit's cool as fuck. Like, that's really cool as a mechanic.
If you ever watch competitive Splatoon, it is a lot of like, it's not just, like chasing your opponents and wanting to kill them, but it's like making sure to ink your path so you can defensively get away if you need to and these sorts of stuff. So there is a lot of cool stuff to it. Yeah. The other part of this trailer I thought was cool is definitely the random shout out to Spirited Away, I guess, on the train here. Or like, what's going on with this thing? Because come on, it's definitely Spirited Away. And then, yeah, by the end of the trailer, they show a couple of seconds of what presumably just looks like, more multiplayer, or whatever it's going to happen. So, yeah, I'm keen. Yeah, Ash, how do you feel about Splatoon, Ash? Not for you?
Yeah, it's not going to be something I'm going to get into, but yeah, Obviously, I think Splatoon's like that sleeper, franchise that Nintendo's got.
Yeah.
That, they keep coming back to it.
Well, I feel like
obviously it's doing well enough.
I feel like the first one, everyone was like, the first one, nah. Second one, a lot more people seem to get on board with. And then...
Second one was on Switch, right?
Yes.
So this is like the first follow-up to one of their Switch games that they've...
Yes. Apart from Breath of the Wild. Well, that was a Wii U game first. So
they clearly had to make a decision between... Nintendo's like, okay, which franchise do we stick with, Splatoon or ARMS? And they picked Splatoon because it's a better game.
There's still time.
There's people out there clamoring for ARMS too, man. Don't doubt them. They exist.
No, should it be called Two Arms?
Wow. Fucking disgust me. Anyway, that was the entirety of the direct, and yeah, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. There's definitely a few games in there I'm excited for. A few things coming this year, a few things, Splatoon 2 next year, and this sort of stuff. So, and I definitely feel like we'll get more directs anyway this year. So,
Nintendo has though filled out its calendar at least for the first couple parts of the year quite well, and I think Nintendo is one of those companies that, for whatever reason, they don't really delay. They always seem to have decent kind of knowledge when it comes to setting release dates. So I think the calendar's shaping up okay. I
would say they are missing like a Mario Party level of game for like the next month ish or something. I know obviously they have Bravely Default 2 coming out, and that's their next big exclusive title. But, that's obviously that's just for the JRPG nerds. You know what I mean? Like something more evergreen Nintendo is just kind of missing from the calendar, because the next big evergreen Nintendo thing is golf, and that's not until June, And I know they'll be like, well, we just released a Mario game. And I'm like, yeah, but it was technically still just a re-release. I know it's got the Bowser DLC, which is fucking fantastic and possibly Game of the Year material, but, it was only it's a small selection of the game. So, and I like how they pointed that out in the direct as well. There's a part where they're like, we released Mario last week, and everyone's like, yeah, where's Odyssey 2? Yeah, fucks. Like, announce another one. Bring me another Mario game now. That meme. All right, let's move on next. Sorry. only got a couple other stories to go through here. Obviously, the direct was the big piece of news for the week, but Bungie expands its studio. So this is pretty big news. IGN writes, Bungie has started an expansion of its studio headquarters with a facility being built to focus partly on creating games that aren't Destiny. The news was revealed in a press release from Bungie, which revealed the expansion. The land expansion will, quote, increase Bungie's HQ footprint from 84,000 square feet to more than 208,000 square feet, end quote. Estimated to be completed by fall 2022. The move is part of Bungie's commitment to long-term development of Destiny 2. The studio also plans to use the new space to, quote, tell new stories in the Destiny universe and create entirely new worlds to be announced IPs, end quote. Particularly, Bungie plans to bring at least one new IP to the market before 2025. So, Ciaran, how do you feel about Bungie committing heavily to Destiny 2, they said. Destiny 2 for at least through to 2025, not Destiny 3, just more Destiny 2. And then how do you feel about them doing a new IP as well?
Well, I think firstly, Destiny's already proved with Destiny 2 how good they are, like how good Bungie is at making ongoing content and balancing that game. I think they've released so much great content for it already, and they've just released the Destiny 2, is it Beyond Light edition, where they like kind of brought it into the newer consoles and everything, setting themselves up to be able to release more content on that newer version for the coming years. I think as long as they have a good content schedule for that game, I think that's fantastic. At the same time, hearing Bungie is thriving enough in the kind of
after going independent,
they have going independent and kind of ditching Activision. It's fantastic, and I'm so glad they're doing another IP, because no matter what, Bungie do the best shooting mechanics in games. Like, the best feeling guns, especially in a first-person shooter, any game. I love their gun design. I love their gunplay in general, and their minute-to-minute action, and just everything about their shooting just feels really good. It feels intuitive. It feels nice to use and fun to play around with. So to have those gun mechanics in another IP, hopefully for me, I really hope it's a single-player IP, but it is, I think it's only a positive. Like, Bungie is such a fantastic studio, and they've been through an up and down in their history, but this, I feel like, is them kind of reaching the next level of studio that they can kind of strive to be.
I feel like, so I think there's no reason for them to do another first-person shooter, because Destiny, they can kind of do whatever they want with guns and mechanics and whatever inside that. And I would hope, sort of how Guerrilla did with Horizon, I would hope that maybe they're doing a similar sort of swerve where they're like, we kind of got the first-person thing happening over here. And not obviously like they're killing Destiny, like Killzone fucking ended.
Yes.
As far as we know. But like, they're still continuing the work on that. That's where all their first-person efforts going. I think it would be really cool for them to sort of expand out and maybe try something different. Maybe a third-person action game. Maybe fucking RPG. Who knows? But I think if they announce something that's just sort of similar to Destiny, it's not, like, even if it was just a straight-up single-player first-person shooter, people would still be like, okay, but it's just another shooter from Bungie. Like, it'd be more exciting if they announced a straight-up, like, completely swerve with the genre and stuff, and still brought their cool world building and mechanics and stuff, because it's like, okay, if they can do guns this well, and I would agree, like, I haven't played Destiny in a couple of years, but they do guns better than anyone. Like, can they do other weapons? Can they do other styles of combat? As better than anyone else in those sorts of things? Shout out, by the way, sort of letting loose a bad sin over here, but I did get a code for that Destiny thing, and I still haven't played it. So I'm just gonna, but I was gonna dive in and check out Destiny on PS5 because they did the update and this sort of stuff. So maybe I'll get there one day soon. Ash, how do you feel about all the Bungie expansion stuff?
Yeah, whatever they want to do next, I feel like it's good for them to like expand and obviously do different things, potentially. Obviously, getting away from Activision
didn't hurt them.
No, it didn't hurt them if they're not jumping straight into proven franchise material of Destiny 3. So
yeah.
And
that was one of the funny things when they left. People were like, "Oh, worried about them." Like, "Oh, was this a good decision?" And all this sort of stuff. It's like, Not only are we making more Destiny, we're making a new IP, and we're fucking more than doubling the size of our our fucking building over here. So, not often you hear about developers, let alone a sole developer, an individual, independent.
Especially in the current climate, like it is. Developers are downsizing in everything going on in the pandemic. So for Bungie to be putting on over double staff, that's absolutely fantastic, and people should take note of that in the industry as a whole.
All right, Marvel's Avengers got a bunch of news throughout the week. They did what they call the War Table. So Kotaku covered a bit of it and writes, the Avengers can't stop assembling. Clint Barton, also known as Hawkeye or the really him, Avenger, is coming to Marvel's Avengers on March 18th. Alongside dedicated next-gen versions of the game, Marvel's Avengers was initially planned to release for PS5 and Xbox Series XS alongside the launch of new consoles. 3 weeks before those consoles hit shelves, Crystal Dynamics delayed the next version of the game indefinitely. Come March 18th, Marvel's Avengers will finally be able to hit 4K on PS5 and Xbox Series X and 1440p on the Xbox Series X. So let's just pause it there and I'll get your thoughts on Hawkeye separately. But Ciaran, I did see that you had the game open a couple days ago. Like
no, my dad's.
Oh, your dad's been playing it. Okay,
my dad's been playing it. Dad must have opened it when he was looking, and he's been playing it on the PlayStation 4.
I was about to say, he was getting fucking warmed up for the
No,
PS5
literally, it was him. He kind of was looking at it because he hasn't really had much time to play console games very recently. So, man, this game in general, I think once that version releases, I will go back to it because I enjoyed what I played in that game. Like completing the main storyline and everything. I enjoyed the story. It ran a bit shit. Like it was just a bit shit in general in terms of almost striving to be too much with the current hardware that it had to operate on. So to see how that develops on the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, and hopefully it's a smooth running and good game. Like I'm hopeful for it that it can do a No Man's Sky-esque turnaround and make great content and continue to support the game and to become a great game that it should have been when it was first released.
Ash, I know you're diving back in. Did the PS5 confirmation of 4K get you wet in the boots?
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, I'm not too concerned about that, but yeah, it's good to see. Obviously, some more interesting story content. Hawkeye looks really good. Clint Barton obviously looks really good, and where they're taking the story seems really weird and really interesting.
Yeah, so it says Hawkeye's story brings us face to face with a possible future where all hope is lost. With his bow and sword at his side and the help of the rest of Avengers, Clint must stop an invasion that would turn to the world to ruin. So I skimmed through the war table or whatever thing, and I found it very confusing as someone who hasn't actually played the game, obviously, so that doesn't really help. But they're like, hey, there's part of this story that's in like an alternate timeline where it seems like Old Man Logan, but with Hawkeye or some shit like that. And then they're like, here's this other side of the story that's actually just taking place in actual current timeline.
They used a decent chunk of time towards the end of the main storyline of Avengers to set up for Hawkeye. Like, there's actually a decent chunk of stuff that is to set up for the Hawkeye missions. Like, it was left as a cliffhanger with Kate Bishop on the horizon. So it's interesting, and it was a shame that they had to delay it so much because it was like the first kind of step on their overall plans for this game. So hopefully with this, it rights the ship a little bit, and they find a way to like keep pushing forward.
And shout out to Evil Hulk or whatever the fuck this character is in the
leader.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I saw someone name.
There's multiple
Yes,
Evil Hulks.
Someone else.
It was in the Maestro. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's Maestro or something like that. Yeah,
it might be the Maestro.
Yeah, and I was like, what the? This looks so crazy. It's a cool trailer. I definitely thought it looked kind of cool. But it's hard for me to be like, oh no, does this fix all the issues that people like Ciaran had? You know, like more cool story content isn't exactly like fixes the technical issues,
like,
fixes the
end
game
like the story
issues.
Content was there, but it was like frames when characters were, you know, especially when the Hulk was involved in stuff, the frame rate would just eat shit and die. Eat shit and die.
Yeah. So I would hope and assume for everyone that, yes, it will play better on PS5, but you get a free upgrade, so it's not going to hurt you to find out, that's for sure.
No, definitely not.
All right, so Rainbow Six, what the fuck is this game originally supposed to be called? Quarantine, yeah, that's it. Rainbow Six Quarantine had a up and down news cycle this past week, so Eurogamer writes that Ubisoft has clarified a report that suggested it had renamed Rainbow Six Quarantine to Rainbow Six Parasite. Last week, Ubisoft told investors the game's name would likely change as a result of the ongoing pandemic. Then overnight, artwork spotted by MP First appeared to show the game with a new Parasite name and logo, but Ubisoft has now issued a statement saying that the name merely reflects the game's internal test build and that a new final name would be revealed soon, saying, quote, while we recently shared that we'll be changing the name of Rainbow Six Quarantine, Parasite is only a placeholder that our internal team use. Recently, we ran an internal test for the game. Some of its details became public. We can confirm this is a glimpse of the upcoming game, and we will share more details, including the official name, soon. I find it interesting that for a testing, they did a full-on art thing. You know, like if it's not I wouldn't think...
Couldn't you just call it Rainbow Six?
Well, like full... No, that game already exists. Rainbow Six is a game. It was on PS1.
Yeah, but if it's just a demo, then what?
Yeah.
Internal test.
Yeah, if it's internal test, why... Oh, I don't even know why you need to change the name. Can you just call it like Rainbow Six Quarantine name will be changed. Please tell us how a game runs. And
TBD.
Yeah, or something like that.
Or Untitled.
I'm going to be honest, though. I'm surprised. The number one takeaway from this for me was I'm surprised that this game still exists because, in case you don't remember, it was officially revealed in Ubisoft's 2019 press conference. And I remember back then, probably on this show or some fucking show or a React show or something like that, I was like, this looks kind of cool. You know, like Rainbow Six, but zombies or some shit. I'm down for that. It seemed like it was a co-op game, and I'm all about that life. Let's get into it. A horror Rainbow Six game. That seems exciting. But then there was just it just kept getting delayed, kept not existing, kept disappearing into the ethers.
That sounds that doesn't sound like Ubisoft at all.
Any Ubisoft game,
it doesn't sound like very Ubisoft that they would announce a game at one of the E3 press conferences and just never get around to releasing it.
It's fucking disgusting that any Ubisoft game I do get excited for is just the ones that they refuse to release.
I don't know how they progress like beyond the good and evil of this story, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
No. You know,
listen,
they need to stick some skull on. They need to stick some skull and bones on the end of the trailer.
We're all skull and bones.
Wow,
yeah.
Okay, there we go. And can't top that, so let's just move on. No, I will say them saying we'll learn more soon. Them saying that the audience testing it. That's exciting because maybe that means that Ubisoft's setting up to do a whatever their things were called soon. I can't remember the ones they did 2 of last year. I've already forgot. Ubi Beyonds or whatever. Ubisoft Forward, that was it. So maybe they're setting up to do something like that again. Or maybe they're just preparing it for June around Jeff Keighley time. So we'll see. All right, last news story of the week.
We'll get into the wilds of this story at some point.
I'm sure. Just fucking stop. Mortal Kombat, the upcoming reboot, I guess, since there's already a couple movies. The upcoming live action movie, which was shot in South Australia, I think it was.
Yes.
Directed by Australian. So there you go. Mortal Kombat's now officially Australian.
Look forward to the actors this year when Mortal Kombat sweeps everything.
Yeah, it's could be true. Listen to What Do You Want to Watch on all good podcast feeds. I'm sure we'll talk about it. So the trailer popped this morning. I assume we've all watched it. Ciaran, how do you feel about the trailer for Mortal Kombat?
Man, they made a good looking trailer, to say the least, and hopefully that kind of translates into a good movie, because if anybody's watched, like, for me, the original Mortal Kombat movie fits in perfectly with the original Street Fighter movie that are just campy and terrible as fuck.
They're 80s movies.
They're very much 80s movies. This, I don't know if you guys remember it, when I think we've discussed it before on the podcast, but like maybe probably over 10 years ago, there was the kind of, somebody made like a
fan film.
There's been a few fan films, to be fair.
Yeah.
And they're usually
but there
all
was
very
one
good.
that was like...
But there was one that caught traction. I think they did like a follow-up series. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because it was like
2011,
super, like
I
they
think
kind
it was.
of...
like around then?
Yeah, they tried to make it so it was like super based in reality and stuff, and they tried to explain different characters in different ways instead of, which was really cool. But to see this gives me some really kind of good vibes for the whole thing. I think they have a really good cast, or an interesting cast that they put together, and it seems to be looking like they're going to be building the characters well. I'm super excited for what's to come with it.
Ash, did you like the trailer?
Yeah, I mean, it gave us all what we wanted, you know? Violence, gore, fatalities.
Fatality.
Lots of cool takes on the Mortal Kombat characters. I mean, obviously some super hardcore people who actually know what the lore of Mortal Kombat are seem like they're a bit upset, but everybody else seems to be. Yeah, this is what we want from a Mortal Kombat film. So yeah, I'm definitely keen. Yeah, it seems like they're going an interesting way with the story where,
Well, they were introducing a new character who's...
New character. I have theories about that. I don't know if we want to...
Yeah, you can go... I don't know why we wouldn't. If you've got...
Well, obviously, my theory... Well, I don't know where I heard it, but apparently, like, Sub-Zero is the bad guy.
Yes, that's true.
I think the new character is some way related to the Scorpion.
Well,
character.
there is multiple Sub-Zeros, by the way. Like, the Sub-Zero would be the more realistic character for, like, to be... like, because the original Sub-Zero dies and then is replaced by his brother, who comes in and takes over the mantle of Sub-Zero.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be the opposite, where this new character is going to become Scorpion.
Huh?
And he's going to want him to get over here.
You know what? That was the only bit of the trailer I didn't love.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, it wasn't a good line read.
I was like...
It wasn't clear, you know?
I liked it because it wasn't over the top. It felt...
And nobody screamed, Mortal Kombat!
Yeah, we'll see about that. Yeah.
Look, there's needs to be Mortal Kombat and then, like, you know, 80 synth music over the top.
Well, so,
and then it's like...
So the film stars, as a pitch, in case anyone's missed all the synopsis, it stars Lewis Tan as an MMA fighter called Cole Young, who's a new character for the film, and he has a... like, he's got a birthmark tattoo or whatever of the Mortal Kombat logo or whatever you want to call it. He's like, oh, that's a bit weird, but he continues living his life. Anyway, someone finds out about it. What's his face?
I got this birthmark that's in the perfect shape of like a dragon in a circle.
Yeah. He's like, I won't worry about
it's
it.
Fine.
So then
doesn't mean anything.
Sub-Zero's boss.
Birthmark.
What's his fucking name? The bad guy in Mortal Kombat. I can't even remember his fucking name now. The Emperor dude.
Goro.
No.
Shao Kahn.
Yes, yeah. So he sends Sub-Zero. This is what it seems. He sends Sub-Zero to kill Cole Young for some reason. And then Cole Young goes and finds Sonya Blade, and she's like, oh, yeah, Mortal Kombat. And then, of course, you know, insert rest of movie here. Well, that's what it kind of... That's the general setup, it seems, along those lines. And then introduce the rest of the characters, and there's going to be lots of fights and fucked up shit and whatever else. So I think it looks really fucking cool. And my Mortal Kombat knowledge is, as you just heard, iffy. I've played the games, not all of them. The last one I actually played was 9. Was that the... Would have been, right? Was that PS4? 9?
No, 9 was PS4, 10 was PS4.
Which was the one that was banned in Australia?
10, right?
Was it 10?
10,
okay, so 10 was the last one I played
10.
then. Because I knew someone who imported it from Japan, and I borrowed his copy or some shit like that. So that was the last one I played. I haven't played 11, the recent one. I used to play the first 3 or whatever on PS1. But...
Yeah,
my knowledge is very...
I'd say I missed this, like, the Mortal Kombat Conquest was fucking amazing. That game was an RPG and it was really cool. As well as the Shaolin Monks game was fantastic as well.
I haven't even heard of those.
Really?
No.
Mortal Kombat Conquest was like a full RPG, like, storyline where it had, like, the main boss fights turned into proper Mortal Kombat fights. And then Shaolin Monks was a... brawler where you played as Liu Kang and the guy with the bladed hat fighting through everything and
Raiden.
fighting Goro and stuff like that. And, no, not Raiden. You fucking.
I'm playing into the meme, right? I'm playing into the. No, okay. We just bring up other fighting game. No, okay. No, that does sound cool. I'd probably enjoy that more because the thing about Mortal Kombat is I always enjoyed the characters and. Obviously, the characters are badass and whatever else. That's the reason that the franchise has been around so long, probably. For fighting fans, obviously, they enjoy it. I'm not a big fighting game guy. I don't like playing fighting games in particular. as a kid, I would like look up and learn like one combo. If I'd performed a fatality on the PS1 versions of these games, I pretty much thought I'd won the game, even though I'm sure people were doing it all the time. There's one section I want to call out in the trailer though that kind of sold me on it, which is the section where Scorpion and Sub-Zero are fighting, and fucking Sub-Zero like cuts some blood. It goes up into the air, then Sub-Zero freezes the blood in midair, turns it into a fucking like shiv, and then shoves it, dagger, and like shove in the fucking knives with it. I'm like, that is fucking awesome. If the movie has more cool sequences like that, yes please, I'm all about this shit.
And even like to the extent of then also then making a wall of ice behind him, jumping through the wall of ice.
That's like the most video game, that felt the most like, not like ripping off the game, but like taking the same sort of thing that the games do, because the games are most popular for the fatalities, and the fatalities aren't just known for being violent, they're also known for being like sort of inspired violence, where it's like sort of over the top ridiculousness type stuff. And that seems like a fatality where it's like, I freeze your blood in midair, fucking stab you with it, and then shove you through a wall of ice. I'm like, yeah, that's fucking badass. So as for the criticism, I did see a lot of like hardcore I don't want to call them fans because they seem like fucking babies to me. But so a lot of people were like going, "Oh, why isn't Johnny Cage in this game?" And the one producers whose tweets I was looking for online was like, "No, Johnny Cage isn't in this game, and he's such a big character in the universe that he probably deserves his own game. And we're building our Mortal Kombat universe, so hopefully we'll get there one day." But everyone's crying about that for some fucking reason. What else was people crying about? People were crying about Millen. What's her name? Milena. Yes, people were crying about her because her teeth aren't right.
Not enough teeth.
And then the guy was like, just watch the fucking movie, winky face. And then people kept going, you fucked up the character. And again, I'm just going to say, I feel like this is preemptive because, look, if you're a big fan, I really, and again, we talked about this for the last episode and whatever, video game fans just are unable to take people adapting a game they love and changing even the slightest thing, and they fucking freak the fuck out.
Can you imagine? Imagine if comic book fans were the same as video game fans.
They were.
In terms of like,
that's what I'm saying. Like they were for a while. They just got used to it though. You know what I mean?
Like,
They went, oh yeah, it's much, but it's actually better when they change things to work for the medium that it's in. It's crazy.
Think about you could probably find a list. You could probably create a list of all the things that MCU wise that people flipped over. And now people are like, oh yeah, no, that's cool. I love that. You know, like because once it proved it was a good decision, people are like, oh, that's great or whatever.
Listen to our podcast, All New Marvelcast, when we talked about Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians in the comics are much different than the ones in the movies. When they were first did their comic run.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Peter Quill was a more serious character.
Yeah.
Thor wasn't a Hawaiian hippie. You know, but people love that. So I did say to Ash on something. What the fucking podcast did I say? Anyway,
who knows?
We called so many, but I did say something to Ash once on. Maybe I was talking about last week on Plaid or something. But I brought up how back in the day, Kevin Smith always used to talk about with the casting of fuck, I meant to blank out his name. Who played Batman?
Michael Keaton. This was Plaid.
Yeah, this was Plaid. Okay, so Michael Keaton, when he was cast as Batman back in the day, apparently comic book nerds flipped their lid. But because there was no internet, they used to just write into magazines and be like, this is fucked. Michael Keaton can't play Batman. So it was very much a thing of comic book fans were flipping their lid. They just didn't have internet and Twitter to like yell into the void. Whereas people these days just are able to easily yell into the fucking void every little stupid thought they have.
Not to the void. Directly
at the people making it. So that is the big problem. Now, I feel like comic book fans have got past that point because now they have a bunch of good movies and they're like, yeah, okay, well, for the most part, comic book fans are like, yeah, okay,
we trust
you a little bit more now. Video game fans are very much still in that early phase of video games getting adapted because we still haven't had that many, and we've had good ones.
Good ones.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
So they're still very much like, don't change the thing I like. To which I say, just if you want the same fucking thing, just don't watch it and play the game. If that's all you want,
play the game, which has the most ridiculous storyline that makes no fucking sense. The characters have died and been brought back to life and have switched between good and evil so many fucking times. You know, at one point, Raiden was wanting to take over the fucking world and be a controller of everything. Like, fuck off.
Also, heads up, I'll put it on podcast. We're going to do is, what do you want to watch spoiler cast of the original Mortal Kombat film?
Oh, God.
Is that a meme or is that actual?
No, that's serious. That's very serious. I'm very
serious. I'm very serious. Sorry, we've got my very serious voice on.
That's my serious podcast. Yeah.
That's your serious hosting voice. Yeah, good job. Yeah. So that's Mortal Kombat.
Michael.
Yeah. Yeah. So it comes out. When's it coming out? I fucking lost the date here somewhere. What you fucking lost? I don't know. Soon. Is it March or something? Fuck. Why is there so much text here?
I think it's
It's April 15th. Right, I found it. April 15th. So if you're listening to us and you're in America, you get to watch it via HBO Max. If you're in Australia like us, it'll go to cinemas here.
To watch it on the big screen safely. Beautifully.
As long as nothing goes wrong before April, we can watch Mortal Kombat. We can watch. I hope it gets a hard R rating. Certainly looks like it fucking will. So
yeah.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Alright, so in what we've been playing, I've played fuck all, Ash has played fuck all. It's all on Ciaran today. Ciaran has jumped into
Ciaran's played something.
The hot topic game of the week.
Speaking of Ciaran and FOMO, am I right?
Yeah. He jumped into...
This wasn't even FOMO.
Jumped into Valheim, which has taken the internet by storm in the last week. Even though it came out a couple months ago or something, but it's definitely in the last week that it seems to have like, I see it everywhere. IGN's writing a million articles.
It was released 2nd of February.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Want
to explain what it is and then give your thoughts on it.
So Valheim currently on PC. It's an early access game. It is one of your kind of normal survival games. Like you are literally placed into a Norse world that has been created as part of the World Tree Yggdrasil, and you're just like kind of up to you to start making things. So basically your normal survival, you start hitting trees to get wood, you start building, but the thing is, the survival aspects of this game aren't the centralized point of this game at all. It's actually about hunting and killing different bosses in the world and exploring the world in itself. So you can kind of make your bases and prepare your foods and everything, gather resources, but it's all about, like, kind of in this multiplayer experience, it's all about getting ready to take on different mythical bosses. So the first boss is like a giant stag that appears that you kind of have to summon and fight. And it is really good. Like, the survival it's an interesting survival mechanic because it's not maybe as hardcore as some others, but it has some very logical and intuitive sorts of mechanics around it. Like, for say, if you want a fire in your house, you need to make sure you build a chimney on your house, or your house is just going to get filled with smoke, and your character, anytime you go in there, is just going to either take massive damage from smoke inhalation, or you're just going to die from it. It's really fun to explore and look around, and the progression to it's really fun. I spent maybe 4 or 5 hours playing it today. A lot of that was getting used to the building mechanics of the game, because it does have a full range of building suites of craftables and building houses and building bases, and I've seen people have entire forts built up for themselves. It's not as big scale as many games. I think servers at the moment can only hold maybe 10 people. There are community servers, or you can just start your own.
Yeah, I think it's it is 10. I remember I was looking at it today.
Yeah, I think it's 10 people max, but the map is absolutely massive. I think it looks absolutely fantastic, and it's full of that, living on that hype of Norse mythology with Assassin's Creed Valhalla and God of War. It's continued to dive further and further into that mythology in this. There is lots of kind of runic stones around for you to read. Odin's Raven is kind of your quote-unquote guide to the game that gives you tips and stuff as you're playing. There's a whole bunch of like mythical creatures around the world. It's a whole bunch of fun to play, and I'm really looking forward to dive into it more, continue building on my base and progress, because I think it isn't as grindy and monotonous as many other games, in my opinion, that are in the same genre, but it's a lot of fun. It's only like $27 in early access, and I think it's not like some early access that recently released that kind of have minimal content to start with. It seems to be a lot of content and a lot of growth available in the game to continue to grow before its major release.
You just been playing it by yourself, or you've been playing it with others?
I've been playing with a friend. So myself and a friend kind of jumped in. I probably got a couple more friends jumping on. We'll start another server at some point and just play with that. But I got the bases down. Like, I bought, kind of built a nice house and everything today. That did, as I said, that took me a decent long time because it does take a bit to get used to that kind of building mechanic that is, as it's a third-person game, there is a lot of kind of awkward positioning of floor tiles a little bit to make sure everything fits in. But at the same time, most of it lets you kind of customize things and change things so it doesn't totally affect your OCD if you have OCD about building things. I have like one or two little things that I think need to be changed, like the ability to completely rotate an item would be really cool, like 360 degrees of movement. But yeah, other than that, I think it's a really great game, and it's a fantastic starting point for anybody to dive into as its early access.
What are you doing as a group? Like, if you're spending a lot of time fucking around in the house, what are you actually doing as with as the group, it's progression. So say myself and my friend, I spent a lot of time building everything, where my friend was more out gathering resources, fighting different mobs to get different resources so we continue upgrading our materials, upgrading our axes. A really lovely, like, just a random off point, repairing your items in the game is absolutely free. So even though even though items have depreciation in kind of stability and durability, you can just go to your workbench and repair. It's the anti-Breath of the Wild.
Anti-Breath of the Wild. But there is a whole bunch to explore. It's actually this game actually has so when you first load, it actually gives you a boss that is kind of your current objective to go fight that
Dark
boss.
Souls.
Yeah, very much Dark Souls in a way. They are big, and a giant health bar comes up. But then there are different regions on the map as well. So I know near our base is a place called the Black Forest, but there's actually some kind of leveling system in the game, because you do earn levels to your skills. The more you run, the more you sneak, the more you cut wood, chop wood, But when you try to go to Black Forest, the bird comes down and goes, "Hey, just so you know, maybe go kill that boss first before coming in here, because you need to prove yourself." AKA, everything in here is fucking strong as shit. As we soon found out, as we ignored the bird, and then we're being chased out by like these goblin shamans and skeletons, and yeah, it was kind of insane. But there is a lot to build, a lot to interact with, a lot to customize. And plenty to do for multiple people, especially if you're building a base together. I think there is much you can do to customize and change.
Is there
the shape of
PvP
everything
or Jeff?
Yes, you can. Yeah, there is PvP. So at the minute, there's no grouping system, so you can't really join a group with everybody and kind of be in one team. But I guess that's just because there is only 10 players on a server. But everything works in together. PvP is optional, so you get to actually disable and enable PvP when you want to do it. Just for your character. So there's in your like kind of menu, there's a PvP button that says, do you want to start PvP? You can press yes or no to make yourself accessible. So if people want to come by and kill you, they can. I think that's what Fallout 760 actually. Weirdly. Yes. Yeah. Most likely. It is, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to them to continue to add more to the game, because I really like the style, and I really like. I've already looked at a lot of kind of people's creations online, and I think there's a lot to do in this game with its building system and its crafting.
Cool. Yeah. I brought it. I'll see if I actually find time to dive in, but I did do a whiff because I saw how popular it was. I watched the trailer. I was like, cool, a Viking version of these games. That's the part to pull me over, I guess, the Viking aspect. And I looked up on Steam and I was like, fuck, this actually isn't very expensive for an early access game. So I was like, no. I brought it. I was planning to play some, but yeah, I've just had a bit too busy of a week. So, but yeah, sounds cool. Seems cool. Look forward to see what else they do. It's obviously taken off. That always helps these sorts of games when they take off so fast.
They take off and have
blow up.
Yeah,
go well. As well. All right. That'll do it for this week's episode of Arcade Couch. Of course, you can let us know any questions, comments, or concerns you have about the show by either tweeting at us or joining our Discord. You can do those things by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Discord. That's where you'll find our full Discord. You can head on over to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter, and that's where you'll find the list of all our Twitters, and you can follow all of our Twitters there. If you like this episode and you thought it was worth $1 or more, you can head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support, and that's where you can give us $1 if you liked the episode. Until next week, same time, same couch. Bye-bye. Hey, Don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.